Now, let's talk about the cost of living, the single biggest issue that supposedly determined the New South Wales election, the Victorian election and the federal election last year. Although, as we know, regardless of who they end up voting for, it all keeps going up, and apparently it doesn't seem to matter after that happens. As we told you last night, but I'll give you the leave pass, perhaps on an Easter long weekend you were somewhere else. Well, on a Friday, it's called the Taking Out the Garbage Day. On Easter Thursday, that's when you really want to get rid of the stuff you hope nobody notices. So they gave a leak to the Sydney Morning Herald and its television version, Channel 9, that has this. 10 million people are about to have an increase in their taxes, the largest in history. How much? Well, it's going to be about the best part of $1,500. Repeat, we are in the middle of a cost of living crisis. The government is going to increase taxes for 10 million people. Oh, apparently it was the front page of a newspaper that you didn't read and you didn't see across an Easter long weekend. So story over, right? No, thankfully it was reported on Channel 9. Have a look at the details. This should be a problem for the Prime Minister, but you would have thought the Sheikh was as well.
The change will affect Australians earning up to $126,000 a year, with those earning between $48,000 and $90,000 hit the hardest, getting back $1,500 less, while a person on $100,000 will be about $1,200 worse off.
Think about how often we talk about in politics, and we talk about politicians talking about cost of living, that they're doing everything they can. Now, the reality is that $1,500 handback was there from when Scott Morrison was Treasurer, renewed when Scott Morrison was Prime Minister. But just like the fuel excise cut that happened when Josh Frydenberg was Treasurer, it has a sunset on it, which means it runs out, which means fuel tax went back up. And now this tax concession is also going to go back up, $1,500. Well, the government, while they are very clever in the way they release the timing of this story, they are willing to front to give us an explanation as to why you can't keep $1,500 of your money.
It's important that we are ensuring through sound economic management that we don't make the inflation problem worse.
So hang on, you have this money now. If they were giving you an extra $1,500, that would be the bit that's inflationary. To take $1,500 off you has nothing to do with inflation. It has to do with a government that is spending more money than it did in the October budget, more money than the one in May of last year, more money than the one in May the year before. And they just need to find ways to get extra money. So they just hope that you won't notice $1,500 in your tax return each and every year. Well, I've got the tip that many, if not most, of the 10 million people will notice it. Will they care about the political consequences and even know who did it to them? Probably not, because apparently this honeymoon has the Australian public welded in the honeymoon suite with the Prime Minister, where nothing can ever possibly break the seal. Meantime, there are thousands of Australians that are reaching out as we speak for food assistance. Foodbank's a sensational charity, and I know there's $1 trillion that you can give to. I'll say this, whatever you spent on Easter eggs this weekend, can you go and have a look at foodbank.org.au and make a donation of similar size? Because normal people, working people, as well as incredibly people really down on their luck, need this service to eat. Now, I know that this can be a bit of a depressing editorial today, but guess what? Welcome back to reality. We live in the real world here, and in the real world here, people are hurting. So much so that even on the ABC, they're giving advice about how people can reach out to this organisation. At the same time as the government's going to take $1,500 off you that you may well be able to pay for things like groceries. But shh, it's apparently all to do with inflation, despite the fact that it's the exact opposite of giving you an extra $1,500.